Hello, long time no see, welcome back to my channel. You may be thinking, but you uploaded a video last week, so it hasn't been that long, but that was pre-recorded. I did film that in March, so I actually haven't sat in front of the camera in a while. So I thought today I would do a book tag that I've been tagged in by another amazing booktuber, and I thought we'd just do a little bit of a chatty update as well. Just kind of a bit of a bonus video for you guys today, and then I'll be getting back into my normal sort of uploads, hopefully, over the next few weeks. So today I'm going to do the book confessions tag by Book Reviews with Becky. I was actually tagged in this several weeks ago, but as you would have seen, I just haven't been filming, so I wasn't able to film a response. But I did really like the tag, so I thought it would be a fun one to join in with, and also another way for you guys to understand a bit more about me and my sort of reading tastes and stuff like that, and also great to just support other book creators in the community. So I will link her channel down below. If you're into thrillers, mysteries, definitely go check her out because she uploads super consistently and reads so many books and is always great at recommending thrillers, mysteries, crime, those sorts of genres. So if that's your thing, do please check her out because her videos are amazing. We're just going to do the tag together now, and then I will give you a little bit of a life update at the end of the video if you kind of just want to know where I've been, what I've been up to, and like plans going forward for the channel and stuff like that. I'm going to put that at the end of the video. But yeah, let's get into the book confessions tag. So the first question is, what is an unpopular book confession / opinion that you have? And I feel like, I don't know, I guess you don't see it as an unpopular opinion because it's your own opinion, but I guess some things about my reading styles is I'm not a huge fan of spice heavy books. So I do read romance and it is one of my favourite genres amongst others, but I don't really like books that are super spice heavy. I don't mind a bit of spice here and there, but I don't like it when it feels like it completely takes away from the character development and things like that. And yeah, I'm not into like spicy books. I feel like I've definitely been, I wouldn't say tricked because I don't think that's the right way of phrasing it, but there's definitely been a lot of romance books where I've heard so much hype and they're like, oh, it's so adorable, like love the chemistry, blah, blah. And then I've gone into it and it's just complete insta love and very spice heavy, and I'm just a bit like, oh, this was not what I was in the mood for, and I feel like I don't care about the characters or what they're doing because it's just so spice heavy. So yeah, I don't know if that's exactly an unpopular opinion because I think there are quite a lot of people who aren't into crazy spice, but I definitely think it has been extremely common, especially in kind of like the booktube community, to be reading like romance books that are extremely spice heavy. So yeah, I guess that was something that is a bit of an unpopular opinion. And in terms of a book confession, one of the things that I was actually talking to my friends about recently is my visual imagination is awful. I really can't picture things when I'm reading them, and I think that's why I have such issues reading really descriptive books, especially when they're very like locationally descriptive. I think to an extent I can kind of piece together what a character looks like, at least very vaguely. I can kind of just have a character in my head, but especially when it's really descriptive on the location and what's happening, I really struggle sometimes unless it's actually spelled out for me. And it can really, I do really get lost in books sometimes for that because yeah, I have like no concept of what something looks like. That's why I really love it when it does then get made into a TV show or a movie because then I can visually see it. I even remember, for instance, the first time I read the second Hunger Games, Catching Fire, and they were talking about how the world was a clock, and I literally, for the life of me, could not understand visually what the arena looked like at all. I still really loved the book, and I still obviously really enjoyed it, but visually I could not picture it at all, and it was only when I saw the film I was like, oh yeah, that makes so much sense, that's literally how it's described. But just in my head I literally just could not picture it for the life of me. So that's kind of a bit of a book confession, that I'm really poor at visually conceptualizing things in a book. So yeah, let me know if you also have the same thing. I know quite a few people do struggle with it, but it also feels like a lot of people really can like properly vividly picture things, and a lot of my friends love descriptive books because they love picturing the world. But for me, yeah, because I struggle so much with that, if I've got pages and pages of description, then I just feel like I get so lost because I can't really picture what's going on. So yeah, that's a bit of a book confession. The second question is, has your reading taste changed over the years, and if so, how? I guess kind of a little bit. I would say I've been a proper reader for the last 3 or so years. I obviously did read when I was younger, but I'm not really counting that because I feel like that was kind of a completely different era. But definitely since I've started taking reading more seriously, I do think my taste has changed slightly. I've definitely been a lot more open to more genres. Like when I first started reading, I very much did pretty much exclusively read literary fiction. I didn't really read anything outside of that. Whereas as I've been reading more, I've definitely got way more into young adult, I think because I didn't really see young adult as like a highbrow literature, and not many of my friends read that much young adult. I do have a few friends that read young adult, but a lot of my friends aren't that bothered about the genre, so I didn't really expose myself to it that much. However, since I've gotten back into young adult, that's definitely a genre that is right up there with my favourites. I love like young adult romance, young adult thrillers, young adult dystopian, so yeah, that's definitely a genre that I've really embraced over the last sort of like couple of years. And then yeah, just getting into other genres in general, like getting into romance. I didn't really read much romance initially, but I really like that as a genre. And yeah, obviously I really loved recursion this year, so I really want to dip my toes into maybe some more sci-fi books because I really loved that. So yeah, I think that's the main way my taste has changed, is just trying to be a little bit more open to a wider variety of books rather than just reading literary fiction. Other than that, I don't think my taste has changed a crazy amount. I guess it's just the more that I've read, the more I understand what I like and what I don't like. Like I really like plot-heavy books. I also have a soft spot for books that span over multiple decades. I have a soft spot for books that have multiple timelines. So yeah, I kind of like know a bit more about what sort of books are kind of like up my alley, but equally I don't know if my actual core taste has really changed that much, more just that I've been open to way more genres in the last couple of years, which has been really nice. So kind of going on from that, the next question is, what genre do you read to get out of a book slump? And realistically, it is young adult is one of the genres that I kind of gravitate towards when I'm in a book slump. I think because I just find it so easy to read, and I do genuinely get along with young adult. I do think sometimes it's a little bit cringe and maybe like a little bit too young, but most of the time I do really get along with young adult as a genre, so that's definitely a book that if I kind of just need a bit of a palate cleanse to just like get me back into reading and something that's fast paced and very easy to read, I love picking up a young adult. Equally, I do go towards thrillers as well when I'm kind of looking for a palate cleanse. Obviously, thrillers are a lot darker than like a young adult, unless you're doing young adult thriller, but thrillers are usually a bit darker, but I just love that thrillers are so fast paced. And I think when I've been in a slump, I really like to, say if it's taking me like 2 weeks to read one book, I'm very much like, I want to read a book that's going to take me like 3 days to get through, and thrillers are usually the best for that because you just want to know what happens next and they're so fast paced. So yeah, I would definitely say sort of like young adult romance / thrillers are usually kind of my go-to when I'm in a slump. Also just sometimes like a cheesy romance, but for me, if I'm looking for a cheesy romance, I love a young adult romance because I feel like those are the cheesiest. But yeah, it's sort of kind of something along that side, a bit of a palate cleanser that kind of just helps reset myself, makes me remember that I love reading, and something that I can just binge in a few days really helps reset me to then go for something maybe a little bit more heavy, because I do still love literary fiction and it probably is still my biggest genre that I read. But yeah, sometimes my literary fiction can be a little bit intense or can just set me into a bit of a slog if I'm not really getting on with it. So I do like having a few palette cleansers on my shelf that I can kind of just dip into if I need something to give me a bit of a boost to carry on through the month with reading. The next question is, what are your auto-buy authors? So they're just authors that as soon as they have a new release, you automatically will purchase it or you'll even pre-order it. And for me, I don't have any authors that I would say I auto-buy. Probably the only author recently is Suzanne Collins, because I did pre-order Sunrise on the Reaping, but I honestly don't really pre-order books ever. I would say some of the authors that I really do read a lot of their works are Taylor Jenkins Reid, Suzanne Collins, Holly Jackson and Sally Rooney. Those are probably the main authors that I really look out for. I've also really fallen in love with Emily Henry, but to be honest, I have so many of her books to still read anyway, but she's probably someone going forward that I could see myself really looking out for new releases. But yeah, I think whilst I'm trying to get through all my favourite authors' backlists, there's not really anyone that's on my auto-buy other than Suzanne Collins, because I would just always auto buy something from the Hunger Games series. But yeah, I'm not really a big auto buy person because I do like trying to get books in the sale, and I don't really get FOMO with that. I guess maybe that's another kind of like confession. I don't really get book FOMO that much. When I see everyone talking about a book, I don't really feel like I'm missing out if I'm not reading it there and then. I'm very good at reading a book like a year or two after it's been released. It doesn't really bother me that much. I do like to see the reviews and like see what people are thinking, but yeah, it doesn't bother me that much to be reading a book like a year or two after it's come out, or even like 3-4 years after it's come out, as long as I haven't seen any spoilers. And I guess that was for me the thing with the Hunger Games, was I was like, I really just don't want to get loads of spoilers because I knew it would be on my timeline a lot. So I was like, that was one where I was like, I feel like I need to get it when it comes out so that I can just read it before all the spoilers start coming. Whereas I feel like with an Emily Henry book, you're not really going to get a spoiler because you know they're going to end up together. But something like the Hunger Games, as much as with Sunrise on the Reaping you kind of know how it ends, I really didn't want to get spoilers as like what happens in between and things like that. So yeah, I wouldn't say I have an auto by author, but I do have a few authors that I do read majority of their books, and I do always keep an eye out for them in the sales. The next question is, how many chances will you give an author before you don't try them again? And for me, I don't really know. There's definitely some authors where I completely really didn't get on with their writing style, and I've since never picked up another book from them. Like for instance, Frederick Backman. I've heard incredible things about his books, but I really didn't like A Man Called Ove. I just really hated it. I don't know what it was about it. I just really didn't like the writing style, and I really didn't like the characters. But I've heard amazing things about specifically the Beartown series that he's written. And part of me is like, should I give that a go? Because I've just heard such good things. But yeah, he's probably one of the only authors that I've tried reading one of his books and then I've actively kind of like avoided any of his books since. There aren't many authors that I actively avoid. I think because I just have so many books. I have so many books on my Kindle and so many books that I really, really want to read anyway. I find it quite easy to naturally avoid certain authors without even kind of doing it on purpose. But yeah, for me, honestly, if there's one book that they write that I really don't get on with, especially if it's the first book I've read by them, and I don't get on with it to the point where I DNF it, I probably won't really read from that author again, purely because a lot of the times I DNF a book, sometimes it is because of the plot and the characters, which fair enough, if that was the case, maybe I would try another one of those books, but usually it is because of the writing style, and if I can't get on with the writing style with one book, it's unlikely I'm going to like their writing style in another book. And I just think there are just too many other books to look out for. There's so many authors and so many books out there that I never feel like I'm kind of missing out by not reading their other books. So yeah, as long as it maybe sounds a bit harsh, honestly, after one book, if I don't like it, I'm unlikely to gravitate towards that author. But like I said, I think it's just because there's so many books I want to read, I find it quite easy to avoid certain authors. Not even necessarily consciously, but it just naturally happens because there's other authors I really want to read more of their work. So yeah. The next question is, do you have anything you like to do / listen to whilst you read? And I'm not very good at listening to anything whilst I read because it just doesn't work in my brain. If I was to listen to anything, it would probably just be like background jazz music or rain sounds or something like that. I'd have to be something with no lyrics and just nothing that's too stimulating so I can really just focus on the book. But usually I just read in silence. However, if I'm listening to my audiobook, I'll do anything. I literally love listening to my audiobook whilst doing things, especially stuff around the house. So I'll listen whilst I hoover, whilst I hang up laundry, whilst I put away laundry, whilst I change the bedding, whilst I go on a walk to run errands. Like, I have fell in love with listening to audiobooks whilst doing stuff like that. The way that I do my audiobooks is because I have Spotify, you essentially get 15 hours of audiobooks a month, but you can use that with various different books. So you could have 3 hours of this book, 4 hours of that book, 5 hours of another book, whatever it is. The way that I personally do it is I'll be reading whatever my book is, usually via Kindle or on paperback. And then whenever I'm then doing chores around the house, I'll see if it's on Spotify, and if it is, I will listen to half an hour whilst I'm doing some chores, and then I'll go back to reading it physically, and then when I'm doing something else, I'll listen to half an hour. And for me, I find it's a great way to get through books quicker, especially because, like, for instance, hanging up the laundry is so boring, but it does take like 10-15 minutes, and it's a great way to kind of like get in 15 minutes of reading without really trying. So yeah, I've been really enjoying that. I actually did it the other day with the book that I'm currently reading, and I was just doing loads of chores and I ended up reading 40 pages of the book just through doing chores and listening to it. So I was like, wow, that was actually very impressive to read 40 whole pages, because some days I don't even read that an entire day, and it just was a day where I was very busy, so other than listening whilst I was doing chores, I probably would have only read about 10 pages in the entire day just because I just didn't have the time. That's something that I've been doing a lot recently, and I find it a great way to kill two birds with one stone. The next question is, how far do you read before DNF'ing? Which basically means do not finish, so it's when you decide to just completely put a book down and not return to it. And I'm reasonably lenient with my DNF'ing. I don't really like to DNF, and I usually try to give a book 100 pages, which maybe is a little bit too generous. I guess if I was absolutely hating it, then maybe I would stop at more around 50 pages. But I do really like to try to give it a go. And for me, 100 pages is, I feel like I've given it plenty of time to prove itself. If I'm still not liking it after 100 pages, realistically, I'm not going to like it. But I do just like giving it 100 pages sometimes, because I think some books you just need to get into, and once you're in it with the characters and the inciting incident happens and things start moving, I find I get into it more. I'm definitely trying to get better at DNF'ing books, because I did go through a phase where I just refused to DNF anything, but now I am a lot more comfortable with DNF'ing things. And yeah, I usually do try to read about 100 pages. I think there was a book where I read about 60 pages and I just ended up DNF'ing it because I just couldn't get into it and I was in such a slump. But in general, I try to get to 100 pages and then DNF it around that point if I'm still not into it, because I do like to give it a chance, especially if it's a book that I've heard a lot of hype around. If it's just a book that I've just happened to pick up, I don't really care as much. But usually a lot of the books that I'm reading, it's either for my book club where I'll always try to finish it, or it's a book that like I've been very hyped to read in the first place. I don't find it very common that I pick up books that I actively hate enough to DNF, but when it does happen, I do try to read 100 pages just to feel like I've given it a chance. The next question is, do you ever find yourself making the same faces as characters in books? And honestly, no. I guess the same thing with struggling to visualize things. I never really make faces. I've seen this on TikTok where people will like read out the line and then they'll make the face. I honestly I feel like part of me just glazes over it. When it says like his eyes darkened, I don't know, I feel like I can kind of, I just know what it means. Even if I can't visually visualize it, I know what it means. Like when they say like his jaw tightened or blah blah. I don't know, yeah, I usually just understand what they mean by saying it, even if I have no idea what it visually would look like for someone to do that with their face. I'm like, well, I know that it means they're tense or they're angry or they're frustrated, and I just kind of move on. I don't really picture it. But yeah, I do find it funny when I see videos of people like actually physically doing what the description is, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I guess that does look really weird. I've never seen someone actually do that. But I feel like I'm so used to the kind of wording and the jargon that yeah, I don't really make the faces myself, but I do find it very funny when I see people make videos of that online. But yeah, it's not something I ever do when reading at all. The final question is rereading, yes, no, maybe, what do you think? I did reread the Hunger Games books a couple of years ago, and I loved rereading them. I definitely want to do at least a reread this year. I would love to reread Normal People because that is arguably my favourite book. I'd also really love to read Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow because I absolutely adored that book as well. So yeah, I do want to do at least a reread this year, but like I've kind of said in other questions, I feel like there are so many books I want to read. I don't really have that much time to reread. And also I only read about 3 books a month. So I say only, I think that's still like a very great amount of books to read in a month, but it's not like I'm reading 10 books in a month. If I was reading like 10 books in a month, then yeah, I probably would reread more because I would be reading just so many books in general. But because I only read 3 books a month, there's just so many books I want to read. I have so many books on my Kindle TBR and on my physical TBR that if I was rereading all the time, I would just really struggle to get through the books I already have. But yeah, I do have it as a little personal goal this year that I would like to do at least one reread. So yeah, it's something that I would like to do, but at the moment I feel like I'm trying to just absorb as many new books as I can. So that's the end of the tag, and I really hope you enjoyed it. I am actually going to tag a few creators down below. So there's a few booktubers that I've been watching a lot recently that haven't been tagged in this as far as I know, so I will just tag them down below. And obviously I will tag Becky's channel down below as well. Do check out her channel. Like I said, she is great for recommendations to do with thrillers, crime, mysteries, all that sort of thing. So if that's the sort of genres that you're into, definitely check her out. She has such a positive energy to her videos, and yeah, she's really fun to watch. So please do check out her channel. I will link it down below and show her some love. And yeah, and then I thought I would just get into some sort of like life updates and let you know what I've been up to recently as a kind of little tag on the end of this video, just to kind of give you some updates as to where I've been, what I've been up to, why I've not been uploading, etc, etc. So March was my birthday month. I had an incredible birthday. It was really, really lovely, but I was just super, super busy. I had a really busy birthday weekend, and then I also had quite a few busy weekends back to back because I went to London to visit a friend, which was really lovely. And then last weekend I was with my family for the day as well. So I've just been super busy. You would have seen my solo date vlog, which I uploaded recently, and that had actually been filmed several weeks ago before my birthday, but I hadn't managed to get round to actually editing it and uploading it, so that's why I only went live recently, but super glad that that's finally up because I've literally had it for ages. This week I've been really ill, so if you notice that there is anything with my voice or the way I'm sounding, it's because I am coming off the back of a cold at the moment. I was ill for the majority of this week. I was actually off work for a few days because I was literally just like rotting in bed for about 3 days straight. So yeah, I'm feeling better now, but definitely not 100%, but it's fine. I'm feeling a lot better now, and yeah, excited to get back into making videos for you guys. I did have something I wanted to ask. I don't know if people watched this far in the video, but if you are watching, please do let me know in the comments down below. I have already done a couple of monthly wrap-ups where I wrapped up January and February, and obviously March is over now, and I was debating doing a March wrap-up, but I'm not entirely sure because I've only been reading 3 books a month, which, like I said, I think is very good, but it's not a crazy amount of books to have in a video. And I'm thinking of maybe starting to combine months together so that when I do have books to present to you, I've got like a solid list of like 6 or 7 books to present rather than just the 3, because I don't ever want to feel like I'm rambling on and on in a video just to try and make the time. And I do kind of get that feeling sometimes when I'm doing a book review of only 3 books. I feel like I've got to keep thinking of things to say so that the video isn't just like 5 minutes long. So yeah, I think going forward, in my mind, I think I probably will start having my monthly wrap-ups be a little bit less frequent and have them be more bi-monthly wrap-ups where I combine 2 months together. So I think that's what I'm going to do going forward. I also want to start making some videos where I talk about my favourite books in certain genres, so I think my first video to do with that will probably be a 5-star read video where I talk about all my 5-star reads, and then I'm going to go through a few genres and kind of say like my top 10 or my top 5 books in said genre, so that's something that you can be looking out for. And yeah, I've been really enjoying making the kind of vlog style content as well, so I definitely want to keep that up. I'm thinking of doing more sort of like cozy hobby vlogs, journaling vlogs, reading vlogs, that sort of thing. So if that's something you're also interested in, do let me know. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this channel. I'm not going anywhere. Sorry I haven't been uploading recently, but I'm not uploading. I'm still here. I'm still going to be uploading, but things just got a bit busy, and I do work full time, so obviously trying to find the time to film and edit just isn't always as possible when I've got really busy weekends. However, now the sun is out for a lot longer in the UK, I can actually film in the evenings on the weeknights, so that is going to be a complete game changer. For instance, today is Saturday, so I'm filming this Saturday morning, but yeah, going forward I'll be able to film on like a Tuesday after work or whatever as well, which I think is going to make a huge difference to being able to upload consistently, especially on weekends where like I am just really busy, because I have just had that recently where I've just been flat out. But yeah, I hope you're all doing well. I hope you enjoyed this video, and like I said, do check out Becky's channel down below who created the tag, and I hope I'll see you in my next video. And yeah, I'm not going anywhere, still uploading, and I'm looking forward to getting some more videos out to you guys. As always, if you have any ideas of what you want to see, please do let me know down below. But yeah, I'll see you in my next video, and if you want to answer these questions in the comments down below, I'll be super intrigued to see what you say. And I have tagged a few people, so if you guys want to comment down below what your answers are, if you want to make a video yourself, feel free to do that. But yeah, I'll hopefully see you in my next video, and thanks so much for watching. Bye guys!